Hi, I'm Johan Kruger from Kruger Family Wines, and I greet you on this beautiful sunny winter's day in the Paardeberg, Swartland, where we are visiting two of my favorite old vines vineyards, a old vine Chardonnay, which we bottle and export to Naked Wines UK, and our old vine Chenin Blanc, which we bottle and export to Naked Wines USA. Kruger Family Wines was formed in 2015, the year after I met my beautiful wife Sophie, and we started our family and also started our family business. We are export focused mainly, and initially our only wines were wines bottled exclusive for Naked Wines UK and thereafter USA, and subsequently we're making wines into other markets as well. We've got a strong focus on old vines, which is a category of vineyard that I really appreciate working with. So first and foremost, this old vine Chardonnay vineyard is planted in 1986, which makes it one of less than a handful of the oldest Chardonnay vineyards in South Africa. It ended up in a co-op system where the farmer was not paid enough, so through the old vine project we connected, and yeah, it's the fourth vintage we've bottled in 2022, and it's been an absolute incredible journey working with this vineyard, bottling one of South Africa's oldest old vine Chardonnay vineyards. In terms of winemaking on the Chardonnay, we do whole bunch press. We aim for 13, maximum 13.5% alcohol. The juice settles overnight, after which it's racked roughly off the gross lees, and it's transferred to 60% older French oak barrels and the balanced concrete egg. The reason for no new oak is old vineyards has got incredible sensitive, unique character which you don't want to mask with too much new oak makeup. And there's a generosity in these old vines that I always compare to having a conversation with your grandmother or grandfather. You shut up and you listen to all the wisdom that they've accumulated over the years. So we've got a very soft-handed approach in the winemaking in all aspects, from no oak, gentle batonnage and early bottling to retain that freshness and also that powerful intensity that only old vines can give you. Next to our old vine Chardonnay vineyard here in Paardeberg, Swartland, is our old vine Chenin Blanc vineyard, which was planted in 1986. It's a similar story. There was a part of this vineyard which ended up in a co-op, and some grapes came available. There's a few other very well-talented winemakers that also buy from this vineyard, so I'm humbled to be able to buy a little bit of this fruit, which we bottle exclusively to Naked Wines USA. Yeah, it's thanks to crowdfunding from the angels of Naked Wines that I'm able to pay the prices to keep these vineyards in the ground, and this has also secured a strong relationship between me and the grower. So on the old vine Chenin Blanc, we do a similar winemaking approach as with the Chardonnay. So we do whole bunch press. A portion of the fruit gets about 6 to 8 hours skin contact. Everything settles together overnight, and then there's a coarse racking the next morning where we draw some fluff off the gross lees. Our Chenin Blanc is fermented in a portion older French oak barrels and again a portion concrete egg. The reason for that is not to use new oak, in order to preserve the unique, intense old vine character. And I also feel with these old vines, there's a memory in the vineyard from the minerality that comes through and shows in the final wine, which you don't necessarily get in other wines. The soils here is quite sandy, but underneath the sand there's quite a strong portion of granite. I love working with granite soils. Most of our vineyards are grown on granite soils. Granite gives you a natural low pH and high acidity, which means we don't have to acidify our wines, and we can work on a more natural winemaking approach. Not natural wine, but natural winemaking. So traditional natural ferment and batonnage and light filtrations. So Kruger Family Wines was founded and started in 2015 when we started making bespoke wines for Naked Wines in the UK. Subsequently, we've started on different journeys with various other vineyards, and I discovered old vines. I've always been a fan of some like Ibn Sadi's old vine, Overwingerd Reeks wines, and I've always thought it's an interesting concept. But never did I realize how amazing my journey with the old vines would be until I discovered a old vine Cinsault vineyard in the Pietermaritzkloof in 2017. We bottled that, and that's been an incredible eye-opener for me. 2018, there was a farmer in Wellington who almost pulled out a 1977 Chenin Blanc vineyard, again due to bad prices received for the grapes, and we got connected through the Old Vine project. We saved that vineyard, and what started with the Cinsault 4 hectares in Pietermaritzkloof, which we only took maybe fruit of half a hectare, and then the 1.2 hectares in Wellington in 2018, 2022, not using all the grapes of all the vineyard space, but we do have a positive influence into 60 hectares of Old Vines wines, thanks to crowdfunding by Naked Wines, UK and USA, who enables me to spend their money in these vineyards, and in return they get great wines representing the old vineyards from South Africa. And of course, a strong partner, and without whom I would not be able to do this, is the Old Vine Project, which brings me back to the seal. We've incorporated the seal on our Old Vines wines into the back labels, and yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure working or being an instrument with these different companies. So this is a wine that I'm very proud to be making, which is our Old Vine Chardonnay from Paardeberg in the Swartland, exclusive to Naked Wines UK. And as you can see, it's a 2021 vintage. The proof of the pudding is always in the eating, but also in the evidence. And I'm very proud to be presenting this seal of approval, printed on the back label, which guarantees through the Old Vine Project and Sarvis, who regulates every single bottle of wine that's bottled in South Africa, that's certified, that this vineyard was planted in 1986. And I think this gives great value not only to what we do or what the Old Vine Project has achieved, but the customer can really have faith that this is an old vine wine made from a vineyard of 35 years and older. Right, this is an early morning shoot for me, so I'll be tasting one of the wines today, and that would be our Old Vine Chenin Blanc from Paardeberg in the Swartland, from a vineyard behind me, which I explained earlier, which was planted in 1982. So, as you can see, light color, no new oak, not over leasiness. We work sensitively with dissolved oxygen to retain the freshness of the old vines, which also enables us to use lower sulfur, so you can drink this bottle and still go to work tomorrow morning. There's a beautiful sort of granite flinty minerality on the nose, some kumquat, pineapple, stone fruit. And then there's that, wow, I want to call it the old vine umami. There's just a presence in wines that comes from old vineyards, which you cannot get anywhere else. There's a richness, a texture without being fat or pear-shaped or flabby. Beautiful, clean minerality, crisp fruit, and then that intensity. It's almost got a lanolin oiliness, which I really appreciate and which makes these wines fantastic with food as well. Thank you for listening, and cheers.